Today on Rappler, the anti-graft court approves Senator Enrile's hospital detention. Napoles and Justice Ong brought together by religion. And outrage in Indonesia as citizens lose their right to elect regional officials.
Hello, I'm Maria Ressa. Welcome to Rappler, your social news network. Anti-graft court Sandigan Bayan approves hospital detention for Senator Juan Ponce Enrile Friday. The 90-year-old Enrile will remain at the Philippine National Police General Hospital in Camp Crame until doctors consider him fit to be transferred to a regular jail or until further orders from the court. Enrile will also be able to go to another medical facility outside Camp Crame but must shoulder any additional medical costs. Enrile's lawyer, Estelito Mendoza, says his client is in frail condition and may suffer attacks that are, in his words, immediately fatal. Enrile's medical certificates say he has hypertension, poor eyesight, and mild anemia. Enrile is charged with plunder and graft with co-conspirators including former aide Gigi Reyes and alleged scam mastermind Janet Napoles. More on Napoles. The businesswoman downplays whistleblowers' claim she's close to anti-graft Justice Gregory Ong. Napoles says Ong became her acquaintance years after he acquitted her in a case, a questionable 3.8 million peso contract to supply Kevlar helmets for the military. Ong chaired anti-graft court Sandigan Bayan's 4th Division, which tried Napoles' case. The trial ran from 2001 up to 2010, with Ong acquitting Napoles. Napoles says religion brought her and Ong together. When Ong fell sick in 2012, he got in touch with Napoles to ask for help. Ong asked to be introduced to Monsignor Josefino Ramirez, the parish priest of the Quiapo Church in Manila. Quiapo Church houses the Black Nazarene, a life-sized image of Jesus Christ believed to heal the sick. Ramirez is Napoles' spiritual advisor. On Tuesday, the Supreme Court, citing Ong's links with Napoles, dismissed him for gross misconduct, dishonesty, and impropriety. Napoles allegedly gave kickbacks to lawmakers in exchange for public funds siphoned off to bogus non-profit foundations. Rehabilitation Secretary Ping Lacson urges Philippine National Police Chief Alan Purisima to go on leave. Purisima faces graft, plunder, and indirect bribery charges over an alleged undervalued property in Nueva Ecija and the costly renovation of his residence at Camp Crame. In a TV interview Friday, Lacson says Purisima's resignation will spare President Benigno Aquino the, quote, agony of deciding what to do. Lacson suggests Purisima should initiate a, in his words, heart-to-heart talk with Aquino and say whether the allegations are true or false. Otherwise, Purisima should volunteer to go on leave or retire earlier than November 2015, his mandatory retirement date when he turns 56. Before Lacson, Senator Grace Poe earlier urged Purisima to go on administrative leave pending his investigation. Aquino repeatedly defended Purisima from allegations ranging from incompetence to corruption, vouching for the integrity of the PNP chief. An American and a Filipino are found guilty of plotting to aid jihadists overseas and to kill U.S. soldiers. Naturalized U.S. citizen Sohil Omar Kabir and Filipino Ralph De Leon face life imprisonment as their 6-week trial concludes in the United States. The trial underlines the homegrown extremist threat to the U.S., which launched airstrikes against terrorists in the Middle East. The court heard evidence of Kabir traveling to Afghanistan in 2012. He encouraged De Leon and other conspirators to come with him, saying they would all join the students or the Taliban militants and what he called the professors or Al-Qaeda. They went through initial training at firearms and paintball facilities in Southern California. After being tracked by an undercover agent, the aspiring jihadists were arrested in November 2012. California Court Judge Virginia Phillips will hand down sentences on February 23. The verdict comes shortly after Philippine President Aquino concluded his trip to the United States. Aquino offered to help the U.S. fight the jihadist group Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, or ISIS. In an unprecedented move, Muslim leaders in the United States published a letter against jihadist group ISIS, urging it to repent and return to the religion of mercy. The Council on American Islamic Relations, or CARE, along with the Fight Council of North America, cited Islamic texts rejecting the murder of innocent people. 120 Islamic scholars and Muslim leaders from around the world signed the open letter and released it Wednesday. CARE told the jihadists, "You have misinterpreted Islam into a religion of harshness, brutality, torture, and murder. This is a great wrong and an offense to Islam, to Muslims, and to the entire world." The letter came as U.S. President Barack Obama appealed to the world to join in the fight against ISIS. Other Muslims also launched their own campaigns against ISIS. In London, advocacy group Active Change Foundation launched an online campaign using the hashtag Not in My Name to fight the ideology of hate. ISIS beheaded 2 U.S. journalists and a British aid worker. Various countries, including the Philippines, condemn ISIS. While most Indonesians were sleeping Friday, their elected representatives dismantled a cornerstone of the country's democracy. Indonesians were stripped of the right to directly elect regional officials like governors, mayors, and district heads. Indonesia's House of Representatives voted 226 to 135 to pass the controversial regional elections bill. Indonesians expressed outrage with the news on social media. Hold on one second. They express outrage with the news on social media, making Rest in Peace Democracy or hashtag RIP Demokrasi a trending topic on Twitter. With the law, the country reverts back to a Suharto-era system where local legislators choose the regional executive leaders. Indonesians were able to directly vote for the first time in 2005. This comes just 2 months after Indonesia voted Joko Widodo, or Jokowi, president. He's a political outsider who became the solo mayor and Jakarta governor through direct local elections. Let's now look at Rappler's Wrap for today, a list of the 10 most important events around the world you shouldn't miss. At number 6, United Nations Secretary General Ban Ki-moon proposes white coats or protective suits for health workers working to contain the Ebola outbreak. Ban floats the idea as U.S. President Barack Obama and other heads of state met at the UN to discuss the slow and inadequate response to the worst Ebola outbreak in history. The most severely affected countries, Guinea, Sierra Leone, and Liberia, are overwhelmed. They have weak health systems and lack resources because of conflict and instability. At number 8, the U.S. government and some technology experts on Thursday warned of a bug called bash or shell shock that affects Unix-based operating systems powered by Linux and Apple's Mac OS. The U.S. Computer Emergency Readiness Team says hackers could take control of another computer once this is exploited. And at number 9, for the first time in 17 years, a woman cosmonaut prepares for outer space. Russian space engineer Yelena Serova spent 7 years preparing for her role. She's due to blast off in a Soyuz spacecraft from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan Thursday night or Friday morning, Manila time, with Russian cosmonaut Alexander Samokutyav and Barry Wilmore of NASA. For the full top 10, visit Rappler.com's The Wrap. Let's take a look. Every story on Rappler has a mood meter, which gives you 8 emotions to choose from. Click how you feel and your vote comes down to the mood navigator in the middle of the front page. That crowdsources the mood of the day. It also gives you the top 10 stories that have affected our readers and viewers the most emotionally. So take a look here. On the middle of the front page, you see the top 10 stories that have gotten the most number of votes. Interestingly enough, here's a big green inspired patch, burning the flag, 63% inspired, 19% amused, 7% angry. That red, pulling out the story, the color of these 4 stories, red, angry, all having to do with the Philippine Vice President. All these 4 stories. Former official, rigged bids in Makati under Vice President Binay and wife, 89% angry. That same story, coloring the story that's gotten the most number of votes over the last 24 hours, the Rappler Newscast last night, which actually led with the Vice President, with the Binay corruption charges, that's a whopping 96% angry, bringing out the mood of the day. There we go. Today, Most people are angry. Don't stay angry that long. It is Friday. That is Rappler's Newscast for today, Friday, September 26, 2014, the last Friday of September. Visit Rappler.com and watch our newscast Monday to Friday. Tell us how you feel on our mood meter and help us crowdsource the mood of the day. I'm Maria Ressa. As we say at Rappler, tomorrow begins today.